What's up? What's up? It's time for episode 21 of Bleav in Queens. I'm Joe Serralo, joined as always by the rest of the crew, Tyler Ward at WardyNYM, and the former Met himself, Anthony Reck, here for the 21st episode of the show because Anthony missed episode 20. He missed the Recker episode because there was apparently a fantasy football draft that night that you all already know about.
Well, look, let's get into this first, okay? I'm not gonna throw blame on anybody. I was tired. I was really tired before the draft even started. Draft started at 10:45. We got guys on the West Coast in the league. It's the Mets league. I got a lot of former, everyone's a former Met, really.
Top secret former Met league.
Top secret former Met league. Everyone was, everyone played with me or coached me or, whatever. Like, just great group of guys, though. Love the group. So draft is supposed to start at 10:45. Well, Frank Viola is in the league. I'm throwing names out there. I shouldn't have. I'm doing it. You know what?
Name dropping like the best guy too off the bat.
not name dropping. I'm just going to throw Frank under the bus because Frank, calls. Who did he call? I think he called. Did he call Satin or no? He called Thornton. Zach Thornton says, "Thornton, you got to tell Recker I'm going to be late. I'm not home yet. I'm trying to get home." So I get a call or get a text from Thornton. Hey, Frank's going to be 5-10 minutes late. Okay, whatever. So draft gets pushed back. I have to pause it a couple times. Right? I'm the commissioner. So that's another reason that was it all fell on my shoulder. So, this whatever. Anyway, 5-10 minutes goes by, start the draft. Frank's there. Great. About 3 or 4 rounds in, Frank's like, I didn't pick that guy. Okay, Frank. So pause the draft. Just keep going. Okay, we keep going. The 4 more rounds go by. I don't remember how many. 3, 4 more rounds go by. I didn't pick that guy either. I'm like, what is good? So I paused the draft and I'm like, what's going on, guys? I literally got everybody on the phone. I did the group call. I have 10 guys on the phone, including myself. And I'm like, what's going on, fellas? And Frank's talking, he's saying, I can't draft him. I'm trying to draft him. Not let me draft. He's a little older. He doesn't know technology. He's struggling. Okay. Then I get Jerry Blevins on there telling me that he hates the draft board, the way it looks, and he wants to go to a different one. And I'm like, guys, what do you like? We are on here. We're in the draft. Like, we actually did a vote to see if we should redraft. And I was like, my mind was like, we're thinking about redrafting right now. We just drafted. We're thinking like 10 rounds. We're thinking about redrafting. So another 20 minutes has gone by. The draft has been on pause the whole time. Finally, I get enough. Like, I tell everyone, like, all right, we're going to vote, but you guys can text me. I don't want it over this. I don't want anyone feeling pressure. Of course, everyone's like not everybody, but most of the guys were like, we're not redrafting. So yeah, we finished the draft. It's like 12:30 at night. I'm like, I'm tired. I'm going to bed. And obviously, you guys had probably already taped. And yeah, so I apologize. I should have been here, but sometimes, stuff happens and I have to be the adult, and that's when it's bad. And I have to be the adult. I'm dealing with 9 little children, basically. It wasn't good. And yeah, I'm going to throw them under the bus because they deserve it.
When you've got Frank Viola in there and you have to be the adult, then things are really getting bad.
There's no mistaking that when Frank's around, he's not the adult. I can promise you that.
Very Long Island.
Not yet. And he is not the adult. He's great. I'm making fun of these guys a little bit. I love every single one of them, and it's my favorite league I'm in. It's a keeper league. It's so much fun. But yeah, I feel like the dad way too often.
So, but before we get this ad read in there, because I Bleav I have a minute to do it to make sure we get paid, who is the most likely guy? I'm not going to sugarcoat it, guys. Who's the most likely guy in this league to pull a Tommy Pham and come up to the commissioner and give him a little one of these?
Ooh, well, no one's hitting me. I can tell you that.
Yeah, that's true.
But if I had to guess, who's the most hot-headed? I mean, I want to say Carlos Torres because he's in this league, and we've all seen him kind of go to himself a few times, right? Like, he's a little bit. He's the nicest person. He's the nicest person away from the field and away from like getting in his own head. I don't know. None of them would do that. They're not. That's not their style. Most guys are laid back off the field.
I would guess Neese. Watching John Neese out there, he always looked like he was fiery as hell on the bump.
Fiery? What's Neese gonna do? Come on, John. I love you. All right, man.
Get a nose job? Like,
That's amazing. Hey, by the way, if all of you like fantasy football just like Anthony and I do, you probably like betting on player props. So if you're looking for a place to go bet on some player props, do it with our proud sponsors at BetOnline. Head over to betonline.ag and use the promo code Bleav50. That's BLEAV50 for your first time, one-time 50% welcome bonus. BetOnline, folks, it's where the games begin. By the way, Recker, I love all the name dropping in that league. I mean, just to keep up with it, I did beat former Panthers running back Jonathan Stewart today in our week 1 matchup in fantasy football. So,
and that was in the Corderell Stewart League. Do you have to be a Stewart to be in this league? How does that
apparently, it kept throwing me off because I'd see like our show or my team with Cordell Stewart is called Bleav Me, which is the name of our betting show that we do together.
Check it out, folks.
Yeah, exactly. We just got picked up national TV in 2 weeks, guys. Can't wait.
Ayo.
And then I look, and Jonathan Stewart's team name is Team Stewart. And so every time I open up the matchup, I think that I'm Team Stewart, and I think I'm getting my ass kicked. Then I remember I'm the one doing the ass kicking. Sorry, Jonathan. Guys, let's dive in. We've got a fun show ahead. We've got a Marlins series win recap. The Bats woke up. We're going to talk about a series that the Mets did not play in. The Mariners taking 2 out of 3 from Hotlanta. And then, of course, the Mets host the Cubbies these next 3 days. So let's dive in. Tyler, you have not spoken a lot. I know you're not a big football guy like Reck and myself. So let's start with you. What was the most impressive?
My Steelers took
He's a Steelers guy.
1 against the Bengals and probably the most whirlwind of a game. Yes, we lost TJ Watt, and yes, I kind of want to die. But not the Mets. The Steelers still got the win. I'm involved.
I did also have to explain to you that what plus 7.5 meant earlier today.
Yes, true. So, Again, I'm not the betting expert the way that you are, in all fairness.
Hey, I'm not really a betting expert. I heard Reck was on fire with college football.
Oh, wait, no.
Yeah, let's talk about that. My
Wait, Reck. No. I know that the guy who just says he's not a betting expert didn't just say that when he's going to be on national TV for a betting show in 2 weeks.
No. I mean, based on the way I did in the NFL today, I mean,
true.
You saw the bets I played. True. I had a teaser. I just needed the Colts to win by 3. They miss a 42-yarder in overtime. It's like, forget about it. Tyler, most impressive.
The Colts ended up tying? Is that
a tie? It was a tie.
That's cool.
Because they missed a 42-yarder in OT. Ridiculous. Tyler, most impressive thing that you saw from this Mets-Marlins series?
Most impressive thing has to be the bottom of the order for the Mets. For sure. I mean, from the catching side of things and Eduardo Escobar, I mean, I'll just throw out the numbers now before we break down a little bit more on the games. But Eddie Escobar, this series alone, phenomenal. I mean, this guy's been red hot. He looks like that meme, if you guys have seen. I think it was from a Savannah Bananas game where a guy comes in for his at-bat with an actual bat that has fire on it. That's been Eddie, especially from the left side of the plate, continuing to beat the shift, do a phenomenal job. This series alone, Eddie, and not just this series, I should say, over his past 9 games, has 5 home runs and is batting roughly .500. Had a couple home runs in this series as well. I mean, he's just red hot, and it couldn't come at a better time for a Mets team that has been looking for more consistent production at third base until Luis Gourmet returns, which will be soon. We'll get into later. But not only that, it was the catchers. I mean, Reck, you should appreciate this. Finally, the Mets are getting consistent offense from the catching position between Tomas Nido having his first season home run in which the Mets gave him the silent treatment. Buck, quote unquote, said that it was cruel on how long they waited to celebrate Nido's home run, the final run of the game for the Mets in the series finale. But him and McCann both getting the job done. As told, they batted .538 combined in this 3-game set with 3 doubles, a home run, 4 RBIs, and 4 runs scored. That is what I'm happy about most in this series, not only with the offense breaking out in back-to-back games after a bad loss, but more than anything, just the depth of the lineup is really showing and is really helping a guy like Pete Alonso, who's still not being as consistent as you want him to be, and some other guys towards the top of the lineup. So those are my biggest takeaways. The catchers are getting the job done, and Eduardo Escobar, simply cannot be stopped.
I love it. I don't know if anyone's ever called him that before, but I love it. Let's get that on a t-shirt ASAP.
Mark. He's the
one. Let's get that on a Bleav in Queen shirt ASAP. Another shameless plug after the ad read earlier. Head over to shop.bleav.com if you want to bring in Vogelback shirt like I'm wearing right now. Reck, that's not one of our shirts. What's the deal, man? Is that like a two-tone shirt, multicolors? I'm seeing some different.
Come on, guys! I just got that working out. Okay, it's a little sweaty. What are you gonna do?
I love it. By the way, bottom of the lineup, that has been so huge because Brandon Nimmo, even though he's had, I guess for his standards, a bit of a down year offensively, he's showing that if you give him guys on base and guys in scoring position, Nimmo is also a really good RBI threat, right? Like, Don't be deterred because he's a leadoff hitter. Turning the lineup over and giving him chances to knock in runs, he's capitalized.
we talked about this a few episodes ago when I was talking about last year's team, and I thought, well, last year they should have moved Brandon Nimmo down in the order because he was the only one who was hitting. Everybody else struggled with runners on. Well, Nimmo was leading off, and he didn't get enough chances. This guy, he's just consistent. He goes out there and puts together the same ABs. So, yeah, if he got moved down in the lineup, or if they needed him to, if the bottom of the lineup hits like this all the time, gets on base, he can drive in runs, and I love seeing that. For me, I can only echo what Tyler said about the bottom of the order and the fact that Pete, he's relied on too heavily in this lineup, especially with the way they tend to situate the lineup. So, to me, that bottom of the lineup coming through, Eddie hitting home runs, getting power from another source besides Lindor and Pete, that's huge. The Mets have to have that if they want to get – if the ultimate goal is to win the World Series. If they want to win the World Series, they're going to need guys to step up like that. I will also say the other thing that I loved from the series, and this is just – look, the last 2 days, you got great starting pitching out of Carlos Carrasco and Taijuan Walker. And you weren't sure when or if that was going to come the way that we've seen them their last couple outings, or at least Cookie coming back lately. It just hasn't looked like the same guys, especially Taijuan. I mean, the second half, he struggled a little bit. Well, he dominated. I know this was a Marlins lineup. I get it. They're not very good. But I don't care. They went 13 innings. They gave up 2 earned runs. I think they punched out 16. They looked really good between the two of them. So to me, that only enhances their chances. When they get to the playoff time, when it comes to playoff time, I don't know, what's going to happen in this division. I do still think the Mets are going to take the division. Obviously, we saw here that when the Braves are going to face tougher competition, it's going to be, look, they're not going to win every game. And the Mets just need to keep this kind of a pace going and win 2 out of 3, win 3 out of 3. And I think they'll be fine. But if they don't, and they end up going the wild card route, it's not the end of the world. They have guys at the back end that can still pitch. And so if you end up going that 3-game wild card, 2 games, 3 games, whatever, and you have to use some of your best pitchers, you don't have to fret because you still have guys that can step up in big situations.
Yeah, Tyler, jump in.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you brought up Taijuan Walker, because something that a lot of fans maybe didn't initially realize is, let's not forget, Ty has a blister that he's dealing with right now. So that was a big question mark entering this start. How healthy was he going to be? How deep was he going to pitch? And I got to give it a lot of credit to him because he had to change his pitch grips completely, especially with his split. He wasn't throwing it nearly as much. They said it pregame as well that his grips were different right now because they're trying to lessen the blow that is his blister. Was throwing a lot of the fastball. A lot of it was right down the pipe. But again, he took advantage of a subpar Marlins team right now that's swinging and missing at an alarming rate. Tied his season high with 10 strikeouts. So it's great to see Ty have a dominant outing like this when you could argue still doesn't even have his best stuff. So this is definitely a momentum thing for him going forward, a confidence builder rather. And hopefully as long as that blister gets better by the time he gets to his next start or so, then we'll see more of him kind of mixing up his pitches quite a bit up until eventually the Mets have tougher competition against, say, the Brewers and then eventually the Braves before the season's end. Yeah,
and that was something that I had heard. Now, I missed today's Mets game, had a game of my own. And I had heard that Ty did not throw the splitter.
Hey, time out. Joe, how'd the game go?
You're really going to make me? You're going to make me brag? First time
you did it before, so I'm making you.
Well, that was an off-air thing. I mean, all right, fine.
I told him to mention it, so good job, Reck.
First time pitching in a competitive baseball game in 3 years since I was a senior in college, and got to build up the stamina a little bit. But went 5 shutty, 1 hit, 0 runs. Yeah, 3 walks though. 3 walks. That's got to improve.
And an HBP, but you know what? Hey.
You know what?
If you're punching dudes out,
he was chirping.
If you're punching dudes out and you're getting that, I mean, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You only gave up 1 hit in 5. You're allowed to walk guys if you do that. Your whip was still 1, a 1-0 whip.
There you go. I mean, I'm practically DeGrom, right?
DeGrom who? That's the real question. Jesus.
Yeah, me and my 4Ks over 5 innings. Yeah, that's practically DeGrom. I will say this though, and this is the last thing because I don't want to bore everyone with my own personal victories.
Stop it.
But all this talk about Ty and even Cookie implementing a splitter made me about a month ago decide I was going to start working on my own splitter, and I got a punch out and a double play with it today. And I like that pitch a hell of a lot. Now I get the hype because I don't have a changeup, so I get the hype. But speaking of Ty, though, I heard he wasn't throwing the splitter today.
Correct.
And what was he really doing? I mean, you guys tell me. Was it? I heard it was like a healthy diet of heaters. Was he working in a slider? What was Ty doing today? Because 7 innings, 10 Ks. I mean, we haven't seen this since maybe June out of Walker.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing was the heater. That was a thing. And he got into some trouble. He hung the slider at least once. That led to a base knock. I'm not sure if that's what led to the one run for the Marlins that he surrendered in this game. But yeah, Ty was going heavy with the heater. And again, something where I feel that, of course, if he's facing a better team, they would definitely execute because he was throwing a lot of them down the middle. The meatball is what led to the one run that the Marlins scored, which was a home run by, I Bleav, Brian Anderson. He had two home runs in the game. Yeah, thankfully it didn't hurt the Mets, however. But yeah, just really took advantage again of a Marlins team that he knew he was going to get a lot of swings and misses. And it was a good time for him to kind of, lessen back, not really feel the splitty much at all. And then hopefully his next start will be able to be feeling better with his pitch grips. Hopefully the blister goes away and we'll see more of diversity in his pitching arsenal.
So look, sometimes when you have to, sorry, Joe, sometimes when you have to throw more fastballs, when something like this happens and you have to attack the zone more, good things happen because you forget, you get confused, you get caught up in these, different game plans and, oh, we have to go at this guy. We can't throw fastballs here. We can't do this. Bull crap. Like, this guy throws a good fastball. His first game as a Met, I'll never forget it. I think it was against this Marlins team. It was last year. And he comes out with a great four-seam and a little comeback two-seam. And the two-seam got even better as the season went on in the first half especially. But he was pumping like 97s in there with the four-seam, freezing dudes, making them like swing and miss. Like, when you realize that you have to go to it, you have to be more aggressive with it, all of a sudden some of that can come back. So this can be one of those outings, especially if, if that blister starts feeling a little better and he can start throwing the splitty again, great. But go at dudes with the heater. Establish that. That's what makes the off-speed better. You don't have to throw all fastballs. You don't have to throw fastballs in 2-0 counts. I'm not suggesting that you have to do things like that. But to be more aggressive with it, to have that mindset of, well, I have to throw it, so I better make a good one. Like, that just helps guys sometimes out there on the mound. And I think for Ty, especially a guy who can get caught up in a five-pitch mix type thing, this can be a really good thing.
I think you're spot on there, Reck. Look, sometimes guys lose control, they lose command, and they get very in their own head. And at the end of the day, it's like if you're not hitting your spots, or if maybe your off-speed stuff that's usually your best stuff is getting hit. Like, at the end of the day, I know it's not 101. They're not DeGrom, they're not Diaz, but 95 is still 95. And if you're hitting your spots and you're throwing strikes, it's Ty just kind of went. It sounds like he went mano a mano. Like, here it is, come and hit it, and he won that battle more often than not today. So, last thing that I have on this Marlins series, looking at these pitchers, looking at Cookie, looking at Ty, I'm curious because they just both turned in back-to-back stellar performances. Where do you guys stand currently when it comes to a postseason rotation? I know we have almost a full month between now and then, but are you leaning one way or the other? Ty would probably be a more effective reliever, but just had a great start today. Where are you guys leaning as to who gets that fourth spot? Because Bassett's just completely solidified the 3 spot.
For me, that it really feels like a coin flip, but I would probably say it would go Jake, Max, Seabass, and then I feel like I want to favor Cookie. I feel like I really do want to favor Cookie there at the 4 and then Ty at the 5 right now, just because I need to see a little bit more from Ty. Yes, I know that Cookie's only had 2 outings coming back from his oblique injury, but I feel like Cookie is someone where he could be a nice different balance of what you're getting right now in the rotation at the 4 spot. And then Ty, again, can either come in as a number 5 starter, be a long reliever if you need him to. I think for the Mets, it's going to be most important on just riding the hot hand on who's performing best in these final, 22 now games left in the regular season. So yeah, that's just my personal opinion, but it definitely could change depending on how the next, say, week and a half of games go. So what do you think, Reck?
To me, I would lean Ty, but what's fun with what they have right now, what the Mets have right now, because they have some depth in the starting rotation, and you don't need 5 starters in the postseason, you can go with some kind of a combination of the two. It can be Ty for 3 and Cookie for 3, and tell them to go out there and just blow out for 3. Don't even think about going 7, because you're not. We got a bullpen. We got you guys for 6. We got this because we just had 3 guys go 7 innings, which is realistic. Like, that's something that can happen. And it's all going to be situational. It's going to depend on the team that they're playing. If you need a guy with good movement, good sinker, splitty, a lot of swing and miss, that's Ty. Cookie is more of a 4-seam. He's got a good slider. He's got the changeup. He's going to mix it up a little bit. I don't see him going deep into games in the postseason. That's not going to be his thing. To me, it's going to be more about Can we get some swing and miss with the 4-seam fastball? Can we get some easy early ground balls, whatever it is, maybe some quick outs? But Ty's going to be the type of guy who can get ground balls, it's going to depend on the matchups. Like I said, if you got a team that can go out there and put the ball in the air, they hit a lot of home runs, I'd probably lean Ty. I don't know what the numbers are this year, but a lot of the time, Cookie tends to give up deep fly balls. Not that Ty doesn't, but I just think if you give them like a 3-3 or a 4-3 type, go out there and blow out, I think you're going to get really good results. Plus, you can even mix in, if you want to, if you can talk about Peterson, you can talk about McGill, you can talk about all those, like they have options. I don't know that there's a great lineup in the postseason that's, I would want a lefty out there starting a game. But if there is 3 guys in an order somewhere that you think Peterson would be great against, and maybe they're at the top of the order, maybe he starts a game, maybe he's your opener, maybe he goes an inning. I don't know. The Mets are going to have so many options, and that's what's going to be really cool for them because they have guys who know how to start games. I do get a little bit nervous about bringing guys in relief who aren't used to it. That'll be interesting. They're going to need to see more of that from, McGill's, he'll be back soon, hopefully, and obviously Peterson as well. But I think they have so many options that it's going to be a really good problem for Buck to have to solve this.
T, you look like you wanted to jump in. Did you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I had a question for you both to wrap up the Marlins discussion. And first, I did want to mention how this series was fun in the sense that it was the series of firsts. You didn't just have Nito with his first bomb of the year, you had a Marcana in game 2 with his first grand salami. And credit to you, Joe. You mentioned in our previous episode how the Mets have done so well against Pablo Lopez all year, and they get 8 earned on the guy. That was just spectacular, exactly what you were hoping to get. And then you saw even Brandon Nimmo with his first stolen base of the year in game 3. So a bunch of firsts for the Mets, which was cool. But my question to both of you, starting with you, Joe, is do you think the Mets offense is officially back? I know I had it in the title of our last episode, but I want to mention it now because if you look at the doubleheader of the Pirates, they scored 15 runs, only to 2 in which the Pirates scored. Yes, the Mets didn't do well in game 1 of this series. It wasn't just because of some bad double plays, some poor bullpen management, which I'm going to expand on further when we get a health updates because they go in hand. But you see them, they score 11 in game 2, 9 in game 3, outscoring the Marlins 20-6. So, Joe, starting with you, after seeing what the Mets are finally able to start to do against lesser teams, would you say that this offense is finally going to start to be in a groove here as they have this long homestand coming up against both the Cubs and then a 4-game set against the Pirates?
Yeah, I think they're back. I mean, honestly, I don't need to mince words on this one. Look, Lindor just had a great series. He's heating up. I think that, because they're so confident in their ability and maybe in the, weakness of their schedule at the moment, Marte is going to get the proper rest. And I think he should come, back and resume where he left off. We saw Lindor when he had the similar injury, obviously had the worst month of his season. Marte is getting the rest. So I think when he jumps back in, he'll be chilling. McNeil's been great. Pete right now is the biggest question mark. Nimmo's been great. I think the offense is definitely back.
I think what's nice right now about Pete going through a little something is that the rest of the offense is going. And so he doesn't have to keep the weight on his shoulders. You're going to be able to have a conversation with Pete and say, Pete, look, man, like we got you. Like you don't have to do it all, which is what it felt like. And I think that's why he started to get into a little bit of funk because he saw those around him struggling a little bit. Okay, I got to do more. And as soon as you start to do that, you lose yourself. I think he's going to be able to pull himself out of this a lot faster because he's seeing his guys go out there and do some things. So I think it's a natural progression for him to come out of this much faster.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. As long as this offense continues to thrive, it feels like it's inevitable that hopefully sooner than later, Alonso will break out again. He had that home run in game 1, but it's been a consistency level for him for easily over a month now. But I think that's all that really needs to be said on the Marlins series. So now let's pivot into the team that did not win 2 of 3 over the past couple of days, which is the Atlanta Braves. And I want to share this quick for people on YouTube, especially to give a live look on how Braves Twitter is feeling. They were a half game up. You saw MLB tweeting about it. I even read about the Mets went from having 150 days in first to the Braves just won, now back a game and a half at the time of recording this. And this was just a brilliant reaction by, I would say, the Frank Fleming of Braves fans and digital champion, who's a content creator. So just take a look at this, especially if you guys are watching on YouTube, and then we'll go from there.
God, if Jansen closes another fucking game for Atlanta, I'm going to lose my goddamn mind, man. I'm literally going to lose my Smith, you stupid old motherfucker. Like, I get it. You're like in your little old school ways, But how fucking stupid have you got to be sitting up there with sunflower seeds to watch this stupid fucking bastard roll out there? It's blown save, blown save, blown save. Like, fuck, man. Like, you keep sending him out there. Like, you sent him out there just then, knowing goddamn well his ERA was fucking higher than a goddamn stoner at a concert. And sure enough, boom, boom, and we lose. God damn it, I'm about to lose my fucking mind, man. Like, it's bad enough that today hadn't been just fucking dog shit, but then we make the most miraculous comeback ever. And you just sit over there and somehow, some way, you figure out a fucking way to blow this one, man. You're like, hey, how the fuck can we blow this one? Just amazingly. Warm Jansen up. Fuck Kenley Jansen, man. You traded for Iglesias. Put him in the ninth. Send Jansen down a fucking sing-lay ball and have that motherfucker serve Chuck E. Cheese pizza to the rest of the team because he's fucking ass. It's not 2016 anymore. Fuck Kenley Jansen.
All right, now back to you, Reck, with the weather.
Guys, wait, no, time out. We need a warm-up Jansen shirt. Warm up Jansen.
I'm texting the guy right now. I'm texting the guy right now.
We're behind. We've been working on trying to get merch for opposing teams too. So write that down right now.
I'm texting the guy.
That's it.
That's brilliant. Okay.
Warm up Jansen.
So I'm not sure if you guys caught. I'm sure you guys caught the game, but I was watching as I saw, the Mariners in the series finale after winning Game 2 of the series. They were up 6-2 in the ninth, and the Braves did exactly what they've done so well all year. They get a couple big bombs. They get 5 runs in the top of the ninth, up 7-6. But this guy, Julio Rodriguez, kind of a good ball player, kind of on a big deal now, gets that big bomb. And then Eugenio Suarez, who had that big bomb in Game 2, gets it in Game 3. Reck, what was your reaction to see the Braves, again, have this buildup, but unfortunately for their sake, and not for Mets fans' sake, fall short?
Well, I'll be honest. You could see this frustration building for Braves fans because I've been watching Jansen actually pretty closely over the last couple of weeks. And even though the Braves have been winning games, he has not looked good. He looks very hittable. He's throwing, everything seems like it's flat. He's throwing a lot of balls down the middle of the plate. He's getting hit hard. Walking guys, sometimes he loses his command. So you could see this coming. The thing that is interesting for me is this is a fairly young team. Look, they have some veterans, they have some guys that have been there for a while, but they have some young guys who are a big part of this team. Losing games like that in the big leagues, where you emotionally, everything is in these games right now. These are big games. So you're getting close to the playoffs. You're trying to win a division. You're playing against a very good Seattle team and a great atmosphere there in Seattle, and you make a comeback in the ninth inning to go up a run, and then to give it up like that quickly, boom, boom, done. That could be very deflating. So for me, it's going to be interesting to see how they continue to respond to that kind of an issue. And to me, look, this team has shown that they can do good things. The Braves have. They won the World Series last year. But it's going to be interesting because that's a tough one. They have a different team this year, and can they overcome that? Could be great. It could be the best thing the Mets could have asked for, was for them to do everything they did, get into first place, and then lose 2 games consecutively with this one coming in that fashion.
Yeah, I've got so many issues with that guy's rant. First off, it's like he's ripping Snicker a new one. Like, do you not appreciate the fact that you guys are still the reigning world champs? Like, the Atlanta Braves are currently world champs. No team has won a World Series more recently than them. And you're like ripping Snicker a new one, like acting like he doesn't know how to manage. Look, I don't think anyone's calling Dave Roberts a bad manager. The Dodgers just locked up the playoffs for the 10th straight year. He's got Craig Kimbrell in the 9th inning. To me, it's not.
And he's got one World Series title to his name, even though they've been.
Yeah.
It's not easy to win a World Series. Be happy that you won one.
No.
And.
God, we're waiting almost 40 years. Last time we won a World Series, my mom was in high school. It's ridiculous. So, for this guy to call out Snicker like that, it's like, for me, a big takeaway is that there's just not a lot of great shutdown closers in baseball. And the Mets are even that much more lucky to have a guy like Diaz, who's been absolute nails, the best in the business all year. Because if you look at our competition, and this could help us come the postseason, Jansen in the 9th inning, Craig Kimbrell in the 9th inning, who's a guaranteed at least first and second every time he's out there. Even and the guy in the video, he's calling for like Raisel Iglesias. Iglesias was doing awfully for the Angels. I mean, I went to a couple games out here, and it's like, I mean, sure, if that's the guy you want, I welcome it. To me, it's just like, get a grip, Braves fans.
So I'm not gonna lie, watching that video really made me think of me almost every couple days in 2019 watching Edwin.
But thank you for being honest, Tyler. Thank you for being honest.
100%. But yeah, it is funny to see because again, when you look at someone like Jansen right now, he is very Craig Kimbrell-esque for the Braves right now. It is kind of funny how, they swap the relievers in that sense, right? Yeah. But before we get into the Cubs series, I did want to mention quick some health updates because there are some good ones starting this week for the Mets. And let's deep dive quickly on the latest Mets prospect to be brought up. I want to hear your guys' opinions on him. But we saw Starling Marte is out with an injury. He's on the IL. The Mets were hoping that they wouldn't put him on the IL. They did with his broken finger. He can be activated in the next week or so. However, Buck did reiterate that even if that is the case, he might not actually be playing with the Mets just yet. It's going to be a day-by-day thing with him to see because the biggest issue isn't even gripping the bat. It's actually gripping the baseball. So how long does it take for Marte to be comfortable? That is yet to be seen. But some guys will be coming back to the Mets as soon as the time you guys watching or listening to episode 21 of Bleav in Queens. Trevor May has been out with not injury, but with the sickness. And also that being in blanking here, not Trevor May, Luis Yorme. Yorme, both of them are expected to return to Mets either this Monday or Tuesday at the time of recording this. Tyler McGill looks like he's maybe just one outing away after pitching 12 scoreless, facing 12 batters and shutting them all down now in AA and AAA for rehab. Joey Lucchesi had a clean inning today at the time of recording this in AA, 1.2 scoreless. He's getting closer to returning before the end of the year. Drew Smith is starting a rehab assignment sooner than later, which is great. So a lot of reinforcements for the Mets, and that's huge because when I look at game one of that series against the Marlins, I mean, I'm sorry, Buck, but we need to stop putting trust in Joely Rodriguez in a one-run ball game in the eighth. I know the Mets offense wasn't great, but you put him in a 4-3 ball game, it becomes then 6-3, and just like that, the Mets are completely out of it. So that's something I'm personally fed up with, and who knows if Joely will stay on the roster down the stretch or not. But with these relievers coming in or the next week plus, they're going to have more options. And not only that, but you also see there you're going to have not just Yorme back, which is going to help maybe get Pete Alonso a day off. The Mets are going to have more diversity on how they want to go about their infield, outfield alignment. But Mark Vientos, Marky V. Joe, do you have anything to say before we get into Mark?
I mean, when it comes to Vientos, not so much. Like I said, I missed today's game. I saw he went 0 for 5. You said some at-bats were quality. On paper, it doesn't look good, but, he's a kid. And just like, I'll echo my sentiment when it comes to Brett Beatty, right? Like, Beatty coming up was great, had some good moments. All in all, could have been better. But I'm not looking to Vientos. I'm not looking to Beatty to win this team games down the stretch. There's a reason that they gave
100%.
Escobar $13 million for this season in the offseason. There's a reason that they went out and signed Canna. I'm looking for the vets, right? This is the oldest team based on average age in baseball when they're fully healthy. And so I'm looking for the vets to lead the way, not just in the postseason, but on their way to the postseason. So whatever Vientos does, it's gravy on top. Obviously, Darren Ruff, there's no way to sugarcoat this. He's stunk since he's been a Met.
I got to say something on Darren.
Games.
Yeah.
I mean, he's only played in 20 games, and he's got almost a -1 WAR. Like, it's actually hard to, hurt your team that much when you've only played 20 games. And you're playing, like, mainly DH. You're not even out there in the field most days. So, I hope Ruff turns it around because at the end of the day, it's probably going to be Ruff on the postseason roster and not Vientos. Whatever he does is gravy. I'm not, overreacting to his 0 for 5. I'm not overhyped for him. Like, next year may be the year for him, but this year we're riding with the vets.
So with Vientos, he's the type of guy where if the Mets get any production at all, that'll be a plus, especially with 20 plus games left. And again, it's the beauty of what we were going to say about Beatty, but unfortunately he's out with injury now, the type of schedule that the Mets have for the remainder of the season. Thankfully for Vientos' sake, he's going to not be facing, the best pitchers in the world throughout the next week plus of games, however many games he starts to say DH for the Mets. But it will be interesting to see. Yes, he went 0 for 5. Biggest thing with him, he's big swing and miss. He's a big strikeout guy, big ground ball guy. Had in his second at bat, though, first pitch swing, 97 heater all the way at the top of the zone. Was not far at all from being an Oppo home run. So you can clearly see the power and the ability to spread the field. He had his family in attendance. He grew up a Mets fan from not far from Miami. He was born like a half hour away. So it was awesome to see that and got the jitters out of the way. I'm excited for Vientos, just see what he can do over the next week of games, depending on the playing time. But again, when you bring in Darren Ruff and he can't do the simple thing of what he was supposed to be when he was brought in on hitting against lefties, that makes me intrigued to see how much of a leash not only Ruff is going to get going forward, but Vientos to potentially fill that void that Ruff unfortunately has not been able to do. So, Reck, what's your take on Mark Vientos and the overall current configurations of the Mets lineup?
Yeah, I mean, I think Vientos, it's not easy to come up to the big leagues and perform right away.
Yeah.
And I think this kind of goes along with what I was saying about Pete. When you have other guys around you that are hitting and you don't feel like all the pressure is on you, it's going to make it a lot easier. I think this kid's going to have games like this. It's going to happen. Like, no big deal. My first game, I went 0 for 4 with 3 Ks. Like, it's not easy to come up to the big leagues and hit. He, came up. He looked like he belonged. I thought his at-bats were fine. He's good. Like you said, he's going to swing and miss sometimes. I think I love the fact that you're able to drop him in the order, take the pressure off him, and other guys around him are hitting. So I think that's an easy one for him to kind of keep his head, keep himself in it. And as long as he keeps getting at bats like that, things are going to turn around. Like, he's always hit. He's going to eventually hit. So I think it can only be positive to the Mets. You get to see what you have. You get to see what you have in him, and you get to see what you want to do come playoff time, because realistically, that's what this is all about.
When you made your debut, was that the game that Russell Martin was catching, where he stole a strike from you first pitch? That was your debut, not just your first game against Russell Martin.
What a schmuck! We need to send him a shirt.
That was a rough debut. Yikes! Hey, did you at least get free coke at the clubhouse? Or
I grounded out. I don't know if I said this on here or not. I grounded out to Jorge Posada. So Jorge Posada was catching that game. I'm sorry, not catching. Was DHing that game or something. I don't remember. Maybe actually he might have even just been on the bench. I don't even know. They put him in at second base because he came up as an infielder. And this, I Bleav 2011 was his last season. So he in the minor leagues, he was an infielder. They converted him to catcher. Or maybe when he was younger, he's an infielder, whatever. He wanted to play second base. Like, he wanted to get an inning at second base. So I think it was Girardi at the time, put him at second base. And in my last AB, I grounded out to Jorge Posada. I think it might have even ended the game. It might have been the last out of the game. Swisher's on first. I know Swish. I hit the ball to second. Damn it. I'm running down to first. And Posada fields it, throws to first. And I always ran hard. So I'm running hard. Posada throws like a bad ball. Swish dives over, lays out. He's laying on the ground, but he keeps his foot on the bag. I jump over him as I'm going. I look down at him, and he's just like, "Don't kill me!" It was funny, but yeah, I grounded out to Jorge Posada in my debut. Isn't that awesome?
So you had 3 Ks and a ground out to Posada.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What a
I
debut.
walked once.
I love you, man.
Go.
I'll juice you anytime I can. That might be the worst debut ever. 3 Ks and a ground out to Posada.
No, but that's not even the worst part of it. That's not even close to the worst part of this game. So we jump up 7-1. We're up 7-1 in Yankee Stadium. Rich Harden's on the mound. I'm happy as could be. I'm about to win. I'm about to get a win in my debut in Yankee Stadium. It's the 3rd inning, 4th inning, whatever. We're up 7-1. They scored 21 more runs in those last 6 innings, 5 innings. They hit 3 grand slams. It's a record. That is in that game. There's something from that game, the scorecard, whatever, in Cooperstown. Probably has my name on it. Awesome. I gave up 3 grand slams and 22 runs in my debut. Yes, that is true.
I'm literally crying.
I'm not gonna throw anyone under the bus. I'm just gonna say that it was literally the game ended. I had 3 Ks. I gave up 22 runs. We obviously lost. It was not good. I go back to my locker. I go back to my locker, and all I'm thinking, literally, all I'm thinking is, that was great. I got to be in the big leagues for a day. I'm never coming back. They are never letting me back in here. I'm done. And I was just ready to, I thought that was it. I thought that was.
Did you get sent down after that, or no?
No.
Okay, good.
I don't know. I don't know why.
I need to watch the highlights of that game now.
Next game we lost in Boston 4-0, and that I played. And then the next game I played, we had a shutout in Cleveland, and I was like, okay, we're okay.
It's off the bat.
I only gave up 4 runs in Boston, and I gave up nothing to Cleveland. We're good. I'm okay.
So, and this is the last question about your debut, but not to throw anyone under the bus. I'm not going to ask you to do that. Were you calling pitches yourself, or were you getting them from the dugout? Not anyone in particular.
No, I was confident. We had 13 walks. I'll just leave that there.
That's usually not a recipe for a win.
Not good.
That's brutal.
Not
I mean,
good.
I had 3 today, so I get it. I'm not happy with that. 22 runs. I'm sorry, I can't get over that.
3 grand slams.
That's wild. Do you know who hit the grand slams?
Ever.
Do you remember who hit the grand slams? Please don't say Posada.
Russell Martin, Curtis Granderson, and Robinson Cano. I Bleav those were the 3. If I'm remembering correctly.
All right. Fair.
All right, so there you go. Couple Mets. One Met we love, one Met not so much, but a couple Mets in there. Hey, we've got one more series this week before our next episode. I'm struggling with the 22 runs. The Mets are taking on the Cubs the next 3 days, and we've got another former Athletic on the bump, Chris Bassett, who would not have given up 3 grand slams if he was pitching for Oakland in that game. He's been ridiculous. His last 14 starts, I mean, we say this every episode. It's like Bassett's last 12, Bassett's last 13. Last 14 starts, he's 9-3. The team's 11-3. His ERA is 2.3. He's averaging 6 2/3 innings per outing, which is so important to this team right now, especially when we talk about the bullpen woes down the stretch. He's going nearly 7 every time he's out there, going 100+ pitches every time out there. He's actually averaging exactly 100 pitches per start in those last 14.
He's among the MLB's best this season. I think he's top 3 or 4 in average pitches per game. It's like
Alcantara and then Bassett's right there in that next group. So he's been nails. Going up against the kid Javier Assad in game 1. Like Bassett, throws about 6 or 7 pitches, mix of a few different fastballs, cutter, sinker, 4-seamer. It's only going to be his 4th career start. Not the best velo, sits with all those fastballs like 89 to 93 with the variation of them. I mean, to me, this is a game where Bassett, you can argue, has maybe been our surest thing for the better part of the last, 3 months. And the bats are awake, 20 runs last 2 games. To me, this is like a great game to go out there and win the first game of the series. 2 series in a row, they've dropped game 1. This is a great game to just keep the winning streak going and stay in first and get back on track. What do you guys think about the start of the series, and then obviously Jake in game 2, and then a question mark as to who's pitching game 3?
I'm going to take this one first, Tyler, just because this is as easy as it gets, guys. The Cubs are awful. They're a really bad team. They had a nice little 10 or 15 game run 2 or 3 weeks ago. They looked okay. They looked okay in that 15 game run. This team is bad. They're really bad. They don't pitch well. They don't hit well. They've got a couple guys who can hit power, but Wilson Contreras is out. I don't think he's going to be a part of this series at all. I'm sorry. You need to win. You need to take the series. You should probably sweep the series. So that's all I have to say. There's nothing else to say. Yeah. This team they're 23rd in runs scored. They're 23rd in ERA in the big leagues. They've got a lot of young guys. Like Nico Horner came out of the game tonight. I know this is a couple days from now, but he came out of the game tonight. So I don't even know if he's going to be a part of the series. He's probably the best hitter in that lineup, in my opinion. Okay. So yeah, look, I don't see there being any issues. You need to win these games. Period.
Wait, Horner's out?
He came out of the game tonight. That's all I know. Oh. I don't know why, but he came out of the game.
Everyone's got Tampa Bay Dallas on their screens. No one's paying attention to a Cubs Giants Sunday night game. Also, big advantage for the Mets, by the way. Cubs traveling after a Sunday night game. I know they're coming from Chicago, not like they're coming from San Fran, but still, Sunday night baseball and then a travel day. That's an advantage for the Mets.
Yeah, mm-hmm. I don't think there's anything that really needs to be added here. Exactly. The Mets should realistically sweep or at minimum win 2 or 3. I mean, to say my frustration level wasn't high after dropping that series against the Nationals, I mean, this is the same type of feel over and over again. The Mets need to make sure that they get the job done, have a competent offense. I want to see them averaging hopefully 5+ runs each of these games. Do exactly what you're supposed to do. And again, as fun as it is to rag on the Braves while we can for the first time in forever, the Mets control their own destiny, as we say at the end of every single pod. Just make sure that you finish up this stretch of games now. Again, not just the Cubs. You got 4 against the Pirates that we'll get into next episode. And then you have Milwaukee, whoop de effing do. And then nothing really matters matchup-wise other than the Braves from a competition level. So act like that. Act like the team that has been able to dominate these past couple days against the Marlins, that doubleheader against the Pirates. Perform as expected, and this team will be in good hands when they eventually match up against the Braves in the final week of the season.
Yeah, less no pitching for me. Bassett, I mentioned Assad and his arsenal. He's got a pretty good ERA through 3 starts, 4 appearances. But on that cutter, which he throws exactly a third of the time, 370 batting average against.
Ooh.
So, I had a coach in college who used to his email signature was look fastball and adjust. I would say with Assad, look cutter and adjust. 370 opposing batting average there.
I like that.
Jake, game 2 against Adrian Sampson, 8+ Ks in 6 straight starts for Jake. If you're a better and you can get, over 8.5 or even over 9.5, I think it's worth a look. Cubs strike out among the 10 most frequent teams in baseball. Tyler, you don't seem to like that bet.
No, Joe. I was gonna say for the series, how much are you dropping on the money line? Like seriously.
I mean, well, I put over $1,000 on him yesterday with Cookie on the bump, and that one cashed in. So
that was
we'll see. Recker's like, you're an idiot, but yeah, I mean, and it wasn't even because Cookie, because obviously, he gave up a bunch of runs against the Nationals, even though one was earned. It was just Pablo Lopez. I saw Lopez was pitching. And the Mets have chased him his first 2 starts against him this year with like 5 or 6 earned each start. I saw Lopez on the bump. I was like, give me the Mets for like 1,100. So
yeah, I won $100 on a 6-leg parlay in game 2. I'm feeling good.
There we go.
There we
hey,
go.
You're good at the low risk, high reward stuff, and my life is just high risk. And then the final game of the series, and this is probably the last question I have about the Mets Cubs. Smiley's going for the Cubs, just a seasoned vet, been around a long time. Yep. Really works that curveball over 40% of the time there, mixes in a sinker cutter. He's a contact pitcher. He's done a damn good job. 3 of his last 4 starts, he's gone 6 or more innings, allowed 1 or fewer runs. So Smiley, if there's a game that the Mets drop, it would probably be game 3. There's indecision on Buck's part about who's going to start, Peterson or Williams. So this is my question. I think it should be Williams, just because I think Peterson, now we've reached the point in the season, Scherzer should be back in about 8-9 days. Peterson needs to get used to coming out of the bullpen. Did it a couple times, didn't do it well. So, Reck, what do you think this Wednesday game against the Cubs, end of the series? Hopefully we're up 2-0 at this point. Williams or Peterson, who would you like to see start this one?
Look, normally I would break down the opposing lineup for this, but all I'm going to say is I expect to see Peterson in the bullpen in the playoffs. So why not start now? If you're going to let Williams go out there, if he goes 2, 3, 4, I don't care. Have Peterson ready to come in, let him go 1 or 2, then you get into your bullpen. Problem solved. Easy as that.
Yeah, I'm with you 1,000%. Could not agree more. I mean, like you said, there's no need to break down this lineup. It's not a good lineup. So Williams has done better against, better lineups. Like we saw what he did in a spot start and doubleheader against the Phillies. I think he can give us 4 strong against the Cubs, hand it over to Peterson for hopefully a couple out of the pen. Guys, that about does it for episode 21 of Bleav in Queens. But Tyler, I know before we wrap it up that there was something that you were dying. You wouldn't tell me before the show what it was. Some stat, some story, something that you were dying to get off your chest before we wrapped it up.
Yeah, this is just completely random, and it's only valid at the time of recording this, so it won't be valid for everyone that's watching or listening to this now, but I want to throw to you guys. She found that today, again, 9/11, is the only day, like this year, 2022, where if you go on your calculator on your phone right now, if you type the year that you were born plus 22, now I can't do math. I'm going to mess it up. Hold on.
Well, hold on. For the record, you can never do math. I mean,
no, exactly. That's why I'm a content creator. Here we go. The point is that no matter how you go about your birthday in your calculator, it's always going to come out 2022. And I'm trying to think on how it does. So, like, for example, if you do, like for me, 2000 plus 2022, that's going to be 2022. And then I think it is, hold on.
Tyler, you're losing us here.
No, I had it and I lost it. I literally, there was a whole breakdown on it, but I
just added up my birthday and it's 2023, 6/1998. I got 2023.
Okay. Yeah, no, I messed it up.
So you add up Joe's birthday and subtract 1 and you get 2022?
I don't know. I had it. I lost it.
Reck, what's your birthday? 8 plus...
What, my birthday?
August 20 what?
9.
August 29. Oh, my mom's anniversary. 19... He doesn't want to admit this one.
83.
1983. That's 2020. So we're all ballpark here, Tyler, but...
I had it and I lost it. It's okay.
That does
It's
it.
all right.
Now the Mets are not going to win a game the rest of the
I
year
know. I know.
because you
Blame
did
it
that.
on me. Blame
was
it on
the
my
jinx.
mother. She's watching. She told me
I
about
want to try to figure this out now. I want to know what this is. I'm a
I'll
weird
se-
numbers guy.
off air. I'll send you guys a group chat exactly how to do it. And maybe I'll drop in the comments below for people on YouTube. For people on audio, I'm sorry. I'm going to leave you going crazy, but that's why I want to throw out there. But again, I wasn't expecting to talk about it. So I like forgot how to properly do it because again, short-term memory, that is me. So there
does
you
it.
go.
Bleav in Queens, episode 21. Go follow Tyler at WardyNYM. Go follow my man Anthony Recker. He's got that blue check mark. I can never remember, your Instagram versus your Twitter. But if you see the blue check mark, it's him. Catch me at Joe Sorallo on Instagram, at the Joe Sorallo on Twitter. And in 2 weeks on Stadium Network, twice a week, talking bets. Speaking of which, Tampa Bay -2.5, my lock of the day. It looks good. See you guys next time.